Morning, Martin.
Hi, Chris, you right?
Yeah, thank you, mate.
Hi, Warren, can you hear me? We can't hear you.
There you go. You can now, right?
Yes.
Yep.
There
Morning.
you go. There you go. Brilliant. There you go. Just need that couple of minutes beforehand just to make sure everything's running smoothly.
Yeah. I'll intro you, Warren, after Jerry Wellington's been on.
Sure.
Are you one of the members of the Trap podcast?
No,
You're not.
no. I run a podcast called the Finance Geeks. I think you've had Paul Cleworth on before.
Sorry, what's it called?
The Finance Geeks.
Finance Geeks. Okay.
Yeah. I don't use Zoom, so I'm just making sure I can share. I'm just gonna. Cool. I guess you can see that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect.
Perfect. Nice. Okay. Well, let's give me a couple of minutes. Let's go to get my coffee and use the bathroom, and I'll be ready.
Cool.
Good to see you, Chris.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Will.
Morning, Will.
Do you have much planned this morning, Martin? Oh, you're on mute, sorry.
Just you, Warren. You're my number one focus of attention for the next hour.
Ah, that's very nice of you. Better perform.
I thought Jerry was on as well.
Jerry is.
Okay, well, let's not forget Jerry.
Oh.
I'm only focus of attention for 10 wee minutes. I'm your fluffer this morning, Warren.
Jerry, you're a very nice fluffer. And whereabouts in the country are you, Jerry?
I'm in Truro, down in Cornwall.
Ah, lovely. Gorgeous. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Is it a bit crisp and chilly out there this morning?
No, it's lovely. It's always lovely in Cornwall.
It's quite crisp and chilly out here, where I am.
And where are you?
Near in the Cotswolds, near Cirencester.
It's not bad as well.
It's nice. It's beautiful.
Just wait till we hit the top of the hour and then we'll kick it off, Jerry.
And then Martin, just so I know, how long do I have?
Well, we will finish prompt just before 9.
Just 4-9. Okay.
So you can, if you want to do it, if people have any questions, put them in the chat. Yeah, Jerry will be about 10 minutes. So you got 45, 50 minutes.
And how does it work best with chat? Do people message and then you ask me the question, or do I go into the chat? Or
if there are questions, I'll read the questions.
Great.
I'll
Okay.
jump in.
I'll try and leave. I'll try and leave a few minutes before the end to do questions.
Okay.
Meeting note, Oliver added read AI notes meeting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to the October MDRT Zoom for the UK. If there is anybody dialing in from abroad, you are more than welcome. Great to see you. Got two great speakers this morning, one of whom you will know really well, a stalwart of MDRT, Jerry Wellington, who's going to talk us through how he's managed to get rid of all his staff and automate his business. So he'll be on first, and then we'll be followed by Warren Shute. Some of you may know him, some of you may not, but he has built a very, very successful financial advisor practice and also runs the Financial Geeks podcast. So without further ado, over to you, Jerry. The floor is yours for the next 10 minutes.
Excellent. Morning all. Thank you very much for that. Well, I'm going to share my not quite so successful notes this morning, and I'll share my screen if I can. Does that work? So my first tool, my first secret, I've had nothing to do with the making of these slides. So all I've done is download some notes into ChatGPT, and then I've given that to gamma.ar, something like that. And look at Gamma, and it's just produced these slides. So apart from one amendment, I've done nothing to this, and it took 10 minutes. So as it says, 10-minute talk, going from a 6-person team down to 2, just me and my wife Donna. We've maintained our 500,000 turnover and working a 4-day week. This is the only slide I had to change, because when I told AI that I was working a 4-day week, it assumed that as being in Cornwall, I was only working Monday to Thursday, And at the weekends I was spending scuba diving. So I had a lovely picture of a scuba diver there, which I do go scuba diving very occasionally. But I just had to change a couple of the photos to ones that I'd taken. And Chris, thank you for your provocative title. I haven't actually had to fire anybody. We went from a team of 6. We tried growth. It didn't really work for us. So over time, working from home, not working in the office, jiu-jitsu lessons, working with brothers in pubs in London, we've just lost our team naturally. And so it's now just down to me and Donna. And I can honestly say that in 20 years, when the last team member went in January, following a brief period of mourning, the stress of running a team suddenly left. And we've never been happier or less stressed since then. We do still work our 4-day week. Every Wednesdays we're out walking or doing something fun like we were yesterday. Our turnover, yeah, we've maintained north of a £500,000 a year, which down in Cornwall I'm just bloody delighted with. And the business is, as I say, leaner, calmer. We don't have any stress, we don't have any drama, and we're still doing pretty well. We're not completely without backup, so we have got a couple of outsourced part-timers. Generally speaking, they're booking all of our annual planning meetings and getting the paperwork ready. So we are on 100% review of all our clients. That is, that's documented, which I know many people are struggling to achieve. And just in my travels with other businesses as well as other financial advisors, I'm just amazed as to how many people who aren't using AI. Now, I'm a very simple guy. If you want complicated or really advanced solutions, talk to Panos or even Gareth here. But simple things that we're doing. There's lots of systems out there. I've got the list on there. There's many, many more. Start with something. I've been asked this a few times now. Look, just start with a tool. If you don't use it, I start with Gemini, but then at some point chat became better. So these systems are moving on all the time. Perplexity is meant to be very good for technical, but do something, just start. And then when it feels right, keep using it. And also if it doesn't feel right anymore, get rid of it. There was a talk a couple of years ago now, the AI that we're using now is the worst that we will ever use. So it will continue to evolve. So I used the paid for version of chat, but use the free versions of others. The Gamma I used for the PowerPoint, that's free. Give it a go. With most chat or most models, you can turn off the sort of improve the model for everyone. You can try and enclose your system a bit better. You can personalize your AI. Doug, thank you for your Doug Bennett. Thank you for your words on this. So you can go into the personalization settings, and you can put in who you are, what sort of words, what sort of attributes you would like your AI to recognize. And it's worth spending a bit of time on that. But also just be aware that everyone can see AI or treat it as everyone can. I don't think everyone can, but be cautious. Don't put in too much client information. And my absolute secret to how I use AI, but over a lot of other people I see, is I talk to it and I physically talk to it. It's on my phone and I will dictate to it. Most of the people I've spoken to are still typing into their AI. And I personally don't think that works. So I dictate everything into my phone. I've got the app on the phone. I've got the desktop or with the app on the desktop, and there's instant syncing between the two. So, for example, every morning I will go through my emails and I will dictate half a dozen, whatever, however many emails are there. I'll either tell AI how I want it to answer, or I will just explain what the email says and ask it to produce a response. And it drafts it, and it does it in my language. And then when I've finished doing it, I copy it, paste it, send it. My emails are no longer an issue. I deal with all my emails in 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day. But because I'm talking to it, as you would a PA in the office explaining how you might like an email to be sent, it gives it far more depth and structure. You just have to waffle on. If you make a mistake, just keep waffling. It will pick it up. It will tell you if you've gone wrong at the very end. But most people don't know I type them myself now, or I don't type them myself. Biggest time saver, post meeting. So I do record my meetings. I'll put it on a transcript. And before AI, me and Tim and Tyler, we used to spend about 5 hours between us as a team, putting together or having the meeting, putting together all the notes, all the follow-ups. Now I do it myself. An hour for the meeting, and the post meeting suitability letter, the optimizing the IO as we use, putting together the email, putting together all the quotes, takes me about an hour and a half in total, including the meeting. And I've built a standard prompt. I'm happy to share it if anyone wants it. Let me know afterwards. But I keep refining it. It keeps improving. With Google searches, they like short prompt, no, prompt's not a good word, concise inputs. With AI, the more you tell it, the better it gets. And this is why I like to talk to it rather than type with it. And that is really the key to optimization in my opinion. I'm using Planner Pal. I've looked at Aventi, that's my spelling mistake, Saturn. The difference is they produce outputs that they want to produce. Largely speaking, you can tailor it a bit. Whereas my ChatGPT, I've standardized my way of doing things, my output, my words, my tone, my structure, and it does it every single time. I also asked it to write a 200-word optimistic, positive investment commentary, which I put into my post-meeting suitability letter. I fill in a client dashboard, and I used to have to think of the three highlights from each of the meetings. And I now ask Chat to put up 3 highlights and a sort of an overall summary. And I've now started to move into draft suitability reports. It's still a work in progress, but it covers a lot of the free format typing that you would end up doing. And I'm doing my own suitability now. I used to use a power planner. I'm not generally tending to do that anymore. It's not needed. Donna uses it to produce all of our consumer duty documents and reports and annual compliance documents. They're all put through AI. I've recently had to put together my CPD records for the year. It took me an hour. 70 hours worth of CPD, I don't know, 20 different entries, learning outcomes and reflective statements. They're a doddle with AI. Brainstorming. My daughter got married a couple of weeks ago. I wrote, with AI's help, a brilliant, if I may say so, father of the bride speech. So the more you use AI, the more you will use it. The more you will see the opportunities to use it. It's my go-to for any problems now. And I don't know what I'd do without it, quite honestly. Almost up on time. Ryan Pinney, who many of you will know, he is a bit of a genius in America. He's now running the AI Advisor Collective. Myself and Ash have been on this from the start. We meet once a month online, first Thursday for about an hour at 3 o'clock. Let me know if you want to join. It's well worth it. I learned about Gamma through this. And it's a very, very advanced, it's starting to get to be an advanced chat, but it's not formal. It's a bit of a get together. It's very, very useful, and it's got some bigger brain power than I could bring into this. So I didn't lose my team. I did find a new one. And as it says itself, it's invisible, tireless, polite, and cost me £20 a month. So I am more efficient. I'm calmer. I'm enjoying life again. I'm enjoying my work again. And my working week is still just 4 days. So just give it a go and chat to it, talk to it, get into a darkened room, run into a corner and just talk. It will make life so much easier. So that's it, 11 minutes. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Jerry.
Thanks,
That was
Jerry.
awesome. I'm going to have to come back to you on some questions there. That was just a little teaser for all of us. So
10 minutes is never long enough, mate.
yeah. So without further ado, doesn't need any introduction. Warren, shoot. Are you still there, Warren?
I am. I'm just loading my slides.
Cool.
There we go.
Off you go.
Can everyone see the slides? So, Jerry, first of all, thank you very much. That was very interesting, and I made lots of notes myself. My name's Warren Shutt. I'm a financial planner, and I run a firm called Lexington Wealth. And it kind of got a little bit of traction or a bit of interest by the level of revenue that we do. So, as a firm, we do about 1.5 million. I'm the only fee earner, and I don't use AI anywhere near as much as Jerry does. So, I've taken a lot of notes from that. But I just want to share with you how I do and what I do. And I'm not saying it's the best way of doing things, but it's the way we do things. And if you can take one or two nuggets away from my presentation, which will help you improve your business, then I guess it's been the best use of both of our time. So we talk about, doing in excess of 1 million. When I started doing this, we was doing about 1.1, 1.2. And as time goes on, it just starts building. We also do a 4-day week. I work Monday to Thursday. I don't work on Fridays. That started when I wrote my book, The Money Plan, and business carried on so well that I thought, well, what's the point in going back into the office on a Friday? So I should just sit down and write my book on a Friday. So once I finished my book, it was published. I thought, okay, well, I'll just do a 4-day week. I work a 6-week on, 2 weeks off rota. So literally starting at the beginning of the year, I work, I actually start with 2 weeks off January, start with 2 weeks off, then 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off. That works out to be about 40 weeks a year with about 12 weeks away from the office. I'm not on holiday for 12 weeks. I don't sit on the beach for 12 weeks, but I just don't go into the office. Sometimes it's just doing stuff around the house. Sometimes it is going away. And I got to say, I think financial planning and the advice and the service we give is amazing. I love my job. I often scratch my head why so many people are rushing for the exit and selling to consolidate and stuff, because I think all you're doing is giving up income for capital. And let's face it, we don't really work that hard. We have a fantastic job helping clients. We have a phrase, live life by design and not default. We're very passionate in our firm by ensuring that we do that with our clients. So what I'm going to cover today, I'm going to go through it as some kind of momentum, because I want to engage you, keep you awake because it's early, have a coffee, but also I want you to try and ask me some questions if you can. So how we attract our clients, I don't think I'm going to really teach you guys anything new there, but hopefully our new client planning process will be something, our onboarding process, how I work my diary, what we do throughout the year for my clients. And at the end, I have a coaching group that if you're interested, there's a couple of slides that I'll spend a minute on at the very end, just let you know about. Martin was very good to give me some sort of input. He said one of the things that we really want to cover is how I manage my clients annually, how I do the annual reviews, how I conform to the MiFID II. So I've made sure I've added some extra slides in there. So again, a little bit of momentum, how we attract clients as a profession. I like to use the word profession rather industry. We often write blog posts as a profession, do social media posts, podcasts, etc. Newspaper. I have a column in the Sunday Mirror that I've been writing now for 5 years. TV and radio. We've done that sort of work too. Client events and referrals. And I can tell you, and I'm speaking to the converted really, but the only two that make a difference to my firm are client events, which is my favorite, and referrals or targeted introductions. Client events for us really is a case of we have an annual client appreciation event, so every February, because most of our clients do the dry January, so we get that out of the way. Every February we will have an event where all the clients are invited, and then we'll have generally almost every time, I don't think there's an exception, we've had a magician. We find magicians are great bonders. They go in, there's a group of people who don't know each other, they'll do a trick, the magician will surprise and impress everyone, the magician will walk away, and then your clients start talking. Okay, so it gets the people communicating. I'll generally have some band playing. I've done VR before, we've done wine tasting. It's a thank you. So I stand up at the beginning, do a 5-minute introduction, thank everyone for coming, and then it's all down to fun and games. And we also take it as an opportunity to do video testimonials. So I'll have a member of staff walk around, just pick up a couple of clients, say, do you mind saying a couple of nice words to, about Warren on camera? They'll take them out the back. We've got a videographer, just take us a film. And then we get some video testimonials at the end as well. Another thing that I really enjoy is smaller group socials. So my favorite out of this list is really the chef's table. You go to one of your favorite restaurants, get the chef to put on table, private dining area, and the chef cooks in front of you, pours the wine, you're having a good time, your clients are having a good time. And I think the key for me in doing this is I'm inviting existing clients and I'm inviting prospective clients and centers of influence, because I want my clients to sell my business. It's much more powerful. My clients say, oh, you know, Warren and his team do a fabulous job. You know, this is done well, that's done well. Have you done this? It's not me. It's a third-party endorsement. We're all eating great food. It might cost you $5,000 or something to do, but the income you generate from a new client ongoing for the rest of their life is peanuts. Like I said, yeah, clients, their guests, so centers of influence and potential referrals. Let your clients sell your services. Sorry, this is a standard presentation that I deliver to various groups. I have added the extra bit in for Joe, but I didn't take this out just in case you aren't asking for referrals. But you know, train your clients to expect to ask for referrals. You know, we've got clients in care homes, you know, old age centers stuff, and I still ask them for referrals, and they joke to me and say, you know, Warren, the people in there have got 5 years at best to live. And I'm like, well, you never know. You might have someone who might want to introduce us to. When I ask, I always ask specifically. And actually, I got taught how to ask for referrals primarily from an MDRT user called a guy called Tol Slattery, I met years ago. He come to one of my seminars. I did seminars to engage clients back then. And I always ask specifically, and it's something along the lines of, are you happy that at the end of the planning meeting, end of the advice meeting, you're happy with the work that we're doing? You know, if this added value, do you think John and Jenny, your executors or your business partner or your neighbor or whatever, would benefit from the service we do? You know, how about you just send a round robin email, introduce us, and I can just have a chat to them, explain to them what we do and see if they'd work with us. I'm asking specifically so they know who to speak to, they know who would, you know, refer us to, even if that individual isn't of benefit. By very linking them, they can then go on. But when you say, is there anybody you know, it takes you into a transcendental search, which is a psychology term to say you go off into the abyss and they try and find something, and it's too much of an ask. Try and be as specific as you can. So when we've got the introductions coming through, our first stage with a new prospect coming through is our initial welcome call. Always done by myself. I always do that. After the welcome call, if it works out, then we go on to a discovery meeting, which then moves into an investment presentation, and then it goes into a planning meeting. So they're the 3 stages that I get involved with. After that, we have a 45-day check-in, 6-week check-in, and then sometimes we have a 90-day check-in. And the purpose of that for me is just to make sure the client doesn't feel that they've been dropped. You know, we've given them all this advice, we've signed up all the business, we've engaged them, and then they don't see us for a year. I want to make sure that there's a warm touch, that we touch base with them about 6 weeks later, and then further again about another 3 months after that. And then it comes into the annual planning meeting. So it comes in a full circle. So I'm going to go through pretty much each of those stages. So the initial welcome call. You know, I'm a big believer, and if you've listened to the Finance Geeks podcast, you'll know this. Paul Clewith, who's my co-host on it, often takes the mickey out of me because I'm always talking about my outcome. I believe that most people don't achieve what they want in their life because they don't really know what they want and they don't clearly define it. And I'm very, very much a big believer in for myself and my clients in knowing what your outcome is. So even from the initial welcome call, I want to know what my outcome. And this was further endorsed for me when I went over to America. I went over to the Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meeting, and I got my PA at the time to book me a meeting with some financial planners in the area. And coincidentally, they managed to book me a meeting with one of the biggest, highest producers over in the States, a guy called Ron Carson. And I had about 2 hours with him in his office. He was very, very gracious with his time. And when I asked him, you know, what are your secrets? What do you go through? What's your pattern? Because I believe that, you know, success leaves clues. One of those things was that he decided what his outcome is for the meeting, and he visualized the whole meeting going through and how it was going to work for both him and his client to achieve the outcomes that they wanted. So that was a great endorsement of something that I was doing that somebody else who was very successful was able to endorse. So I start the meeting, the welcome call. So always on the phone. I don't do it on Teams. I just want to listen to their voice. How can I help? And that is the only time in the rest of the relationship that I really ask an open question like that, because I feel the danger of asking such open questions is the client then controls the meeting. But what I need to do is find out what's in the client's mind. And I want the client to then brain dump and tell me what it is they're looking for. And what I'm looking for from what they're telling me is, are they forward looking? You know, have they got a bigger future than their past? Quoting like a Dan Sullivan quote. You know, are they complaining about their existing advisor? Am I going to take on a problem in the future? So I'm really filtering through what they're saying to see whether I want this person in my life. And once they finish speaking, because I also carry a belief that nobody will hear what you're saying if they've got a question that they want to ask you in their head. You have to get that out of their mind first so they feel heard. I then explain how I work. And at the end of the welcome call, which typically takes between 15 minutes and 45 minutes, depending on how long they'll speak, I use a RAG system. So, okay, it's a good fit. They want to proceed. We book a discovery meeting. They want to think about it, or they want to ask their partners, you know, what they want to go ahead. Often, if they've discussed fees, it's just getting verification on the initial fees. We charge planning fees when I want to go ahead. Or actually, I don't want this person in my life, or what they're seeking is not something I can deliver. You know, our outcome isn't to do business with everyone we meet. Our outcome is to do business with people we want to have in our life. So on the assumption that they want to go ahead, we then have the discovery meeting. And the discovery meeting is held by me, typically online on Teams. Sorry, organized this. I should go back one stage. I book it on the phone. I complete an inquiry form. I send an email, a round robin email to the rest of my team, because I want my team to be engaged. It's very much a team approach. So that I want the prospect to be dealing with the team, not just me. And my executive assistant sends out a welcome pack, a confirmation pack prior to the meeting, which will include the client agreement and about our services. So it tells about our service and how we charge and what we do. And then if you've read Ken Blanchard's 10-Minute Manager, he talks about the monkey. And basically, we talk about the monkey all the time in our office. And the monkey is basically the issue. And in this example, it's the ownership of the client in the communication. So the executive assistant owns that client until the meeting day when he passes it over to me. So it's their responsibility the day before, 24 hours before, he'll physically call the client and just reconfirm the meeting, make sure they can use Teams, or make sure they've got directions to our office and see if they've got any questions. So the discovery meeting itself, so our initial meeting, 1 hour, it exceptionally rare that it goes over an hour. Online, typically, most of these nowadays are done on Teams, or in my office. I don't go out and travel to any clients. Highly structured, I have 7 questions that I ask. And I have a bit of a preamble that I start at the beginning. So the client will start on Teams or something along the lines, or before we might say our niceties. And say, hey, you know, Lexington's a financial planning firm. We link our financial planning to lifestyle. We want our clients to live life by design and not default. You know, we believe if you miss enough moments in life, you miss life itself. You know, precious time is running out for us all. You know, I have a series of questions that would help us get the most out of our time together. Are you happy if I go through these? I've never once had a client who said, no, I want to talk about this. So what I've done is I've set the scene. I've told the clients what we do and how we do it. And I've told the clients, I've got these questions. There's a structure, there's a process that I follow. Are you happy if I go through? I'm getting their permission. You notice I've not said, how can I help? What's on your mind? Because the control of the meeting then passes over to them. The areas that I go through, I do a mind map. I physically do a mind map. We do value-based financial planning. So I'll say to the client, you know, tell me what's important to you about money. And I'm quiet. And I allow the client to process that question. Because I think quite often we're so busy trying to ask questions, we almost fill the space. And I allow the client to think about it and then respond. And when they say something like security, I dig deeper. So tell me, what does security mean to you? And they're going to tell me. They might say, well, having £100,000 in the bank means I'm secure. Great. Tick. Let me ask, Why does that mean you're secure? You know, it's like, it's not taking it at a surface level. It's just digging deeper to make sure you really understand the client. And I do this with the other values-based questions. One of them is what's important to you about your financial planner. They're going to tell me what they expect me to do to be a good financial planner. And I can then decide whether I want to or I'm able to deliver that. And if they say, well, you know, you give me a call back within 24 hours, 7 days a week, you get me double-digit investment returns every year, things like that. I know I can't deliver that or don't want to deliver that. So I can raise it and say, this really isn't going to work. I can save myself maybe 55 minutes. I use the Dan Sullivan question, what your outcome is. You know, if we're having this conversation 3 years from today, looking back on today, what does it look like? You know, what happens personally and professionally? I want to know that they've got something to look forward to. I want to know about their relationships, both with others. So tell me who relies on you financially, who's important to you, why are they important if it's not necessarily just a family member, but also themselves. What's their health like? Tell me about your health. Do you have regular medicals? Do you exercise? You know, what are your KPIs? What is your blood pressure? What's your blood glucose, your cholesterol? Because that has an impact on their financial planning. Is it going to have an impact on their longevity? You know, typically speaking, we deal with relatively affluent individuals. So typically speaking, they're more likely to have a longer lifestyle. You know, they're educated. But we know, and I have a phrase that I know I can secure your finances, but one thing that will derail that is an illness. So I need you to look after your health and I'll look after your finances. Also has an impact on estate planning. You know, do I have to consider getting more money out of the estate sooner? ALI, which is assets, liabilities, income, and expenditure. I want to have an idea of what they have, what they own, what they owe, income and outgoings. And who else do they work with? Tell me about other professionals you work with. Do you have an accountant, a solicitor, an insurance broker, stockbroker? What do they do that you like? And what do they do that kind of peeves you a little bit, irritates you? They're going to tell me their triggers. Do you know what? It's really nice. They send me a regular update. Well, it's really nice. He remembers my family. Or, do you know what? I call them and it takes them 3 days to come back to me. I just make notes on these things. We have a back office system I can put on the little notes tab. So when their name comes up, we know, okay, well, actually, they want a phone call back straight away. We have a 24-hour policy on emails and phone calls, even if it's a holding email or a holding phone call, just to make sure the clients know where they are. I then explain the process. I explain the journey to the client, that this is the discovery meeting that we're in. The next meeting will be the investment presentation. And then following that will be the planning meeting. I go through the journey so they know what's going on. And I explain our fees. You know, there's a planning and advice fee, and there's an implementation fee, which I'll cover with you guys when we go through those sections. Because that can be quite heavy going, I then finish on a high point, and I finish with hobbies. So tell me, when you're not working, what is it you like to do? You remember the local church, get involved with the community, do you play golf? What is it you do? I want to finish on a high, and I try and link similarities. Oh, great. You know, I play golf. Well, maybe we can arrange some time. Oh, you like nice food? Great. Well, occasionally we have these chef's tables. So maybe I'll invite you across to, you know, to one of those events. Then I have a standard close for both. Is there anything else you need to know from me in order to know that Lexington is the right firm to advise you over the years ahead? You know, I've covered everything. I've covered all the questions. I've asked them if they have any questions. I've covered what we do and how we get charged. I'd probably say 90% of the people decide to go ahead. But I don't want to take everyone on. So if I've got to that stage and it just doesn't feel right, I just tell them, hey, I'm not sure it's a right fit. You know, the service that we offer aren't going to work for your situation. Maybe I can refer you to, and I refer them out. The outcome isn't to take everybody on. It's the outcome for me is to fill the number of seats on my bus and that I enjoy what I do. So literally immediately after the discovery meeting, which I held on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays in the afternoon, and I'll go through my diary a bit later. If I engage them, I book the investment presentation, which is 4 weeks in advance. And again, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, around about 4 o'clock. And I book the planning meeting, which is 8 weeks. So the investment presentation is halfway between us and the planning meeting. It is not actually bang on 4 weeks. It's there or thereabouts. So there's a bit of flex. If the client, for example, just has one personal pension with someone like Standard Life, I can probably get them in a bit sooner than 8 weeks. But if they've got defined benefits pension schemes or they got shareholdings, this, that, and the other, it's going to take us a bit longer to prepare for. I need that 8-week lead time. It rarely goes over 8 weeks. And sometimes it can be brought forward to 6 weeks. It's rarely sooner than 6 weeks. And the investment presentation generally slots bang in the middle of the two. But I guess the key takeaway, and I'll cover my diary in a second, is planning meetings are at 10 o'clock Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And investment presentations, discovery meetings, etc., are at 4 o'clock Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So after the discovery meeting, I'm going to try and take a tip out of Jerry's book, but I dictate my minutes. I have a structure, I have a plan that I take stuff over. The minutes go out within 24 hours, 100% of the time, unless someone's obviously ill or something. Then the executive assistant, has processes to follow. So they send information out to the client. They send what we call an onboarding pack. I send a round robin email to the team in the office to explain what's going on, who they are, and that they're going ahead. The executive assistant, we keep coming back to this word monkey, is not my phrase, but owns that client, chasing the information back. We now use re-LOA. We have done for about a year, I think now, which is an LOA software program, which we really like, works really well for us. And then the client account executive, which is kind of like a technical administrator, they're part qualified, enters all the information into Presswood, which is our planning software. And then we have a power planner who prepares all the advice reports. So they'll do sort of like research on the products, look at the charge, look at the performance, and get everything ready. So when the client comes in for the planning meeting, we're ready. The investment presentation is the next meeting. So that all that work I've just gone through is going on in the background. It might be going on at a concurrent time as the investment presentation, because that's a one-off event. Generally about 30, 40 minutes. And it's often carried out by the power planner, or I have an associate planner who looks after my clients. So it's not done by me. It's a PowerPoint presentation. It's highly structured. It just goes through and articulates our investment philosophy. We have a very strong investment philosophy. And what we want our clients to do is engage in that, so we're not getting phone calls when the market tumbles and they're worried. And then we move on to the planning meeting. And then the planning meeting really is all about us giving advice and making decisions. I can't emphasize enough, it's not a review meeting. My outcome isn't just to review the client's past policies. It's saying, okay, well, look, this is where you are today. This is where the future looks like. These are what you've told me your outcomes are. Okay, let's make some decisions. We want our clients to live life by design and not default. And I think this is why I still really enjoy my job 30 years in. I thoroughly enjoy it because I see the benefits of my clients enjoying their money. And it's very rewarding when they willingly refer you to their friends and family because of this type of work you're doing with them. You won't be surprised to hear that it's very structured. There's about 47 questions on our agenda, which I'll go through them in a second. Not all 47 are asked to every single client. If you have a complex client, it's very likely all 47 questions will be asked. And I'd probably hazard to guess roughly about 80% of our clients cover all 47. But if you've got a widow with perhaps just a trust, or a widow with just a pension, there's a lot of questions that won't need to be asked. It almost never exceeds 2 hours. Starts at 10 o'clock, virtually always finishes at 12 on the dot. I get hungry at 12 o'clock. I need to draw a line in the sand. I need to go and get some lunch. And for me, I come in early in the morning, about 8:30, start prepping for the meeting. Between 8 and 12, I'm cooked. I need a break. So if I've been prepping for the meeting beforehand, I've done the meeting 10 till 12, I physically need a break, mentally need a break. So very rarely goes over 2 hours. I want to know if anything's changed. And going back to the client isn't going to hear me if they've got something on their mind. I always open the meeting. If we could achieve one thing from today, what would it be? Do you know what, Warren? I'm really worried about the inheritance tax position and pensions now. I'm really worried about the budget. I'm really worried about tech being overvalued, whatever it might be. I don't address that question there and then. I just note it, and I address that question where it falls in the agenda. I follow the agenda, but I want to know if there's something on their mind. Is there anything else? No, that's it. And then just recently, and I give credit to Christian in my office because he came up with this question, we now feed back and say, well, look, can I just tell you, our outcome for today's meeting is this. And we feed back to the client what our outcome is. Now, that's something relatively new for us, and it didn't come from me, it come from Christian, but I think it's a very good point to sort of give the client a heads up. Okay, that's great. We're going to make sure we're going to cover that. Sometimes we do need clarification on the information. We're prepping for the meeting. Something hasn't been clear, so we just want to clarify anything. We re-establish their values. You told us these are things that are important to you. Just want to make sure that's right. And these are your outcomes. This you want to do. You want to send Mary to university. You want to buy this second property when you retire, and your outcome is to retire at this sort of age. Yeah. If the client is interested, I'll go through our planning assumptions. I don't cover those in detail with every client because some people just don't care. I think there has to be a given that you're a professional and you know what you're doing, and you can tell the client what they are if they ask. But if they're not interested, then there's no point boring them with it. And our structure for a planning meeting and our structure for an annual planning meeting, so the initial and ongoing ones, is exactly the same. So if it's an existing client, we'll then review the previous year's actions. So last year we said we'd do this, this, and this, and you were going to do this and this. Just want to reconfirm that those things have been done. So these aren't the 47 points, but these are the headers behind them. So we cover the net worth. We make sure they've got 6 months emergency cash in reserve. We cover their liabilities. We go through a strategy of paying that down if that's important to them. We cover their income and make sure that we know when it's going to end, tapering it down, and any tax breaks they've got, marriage allowance, etc. We cover their expenditure, we look at any shortfall and how that's being funded. We do a cash flow projection so they can see what it looks like in the future, and then we run various scenarios. So market correction, that kind of thing. The stock market crash, what does it look like? We review their life assurance, make sure things are written in trust, make sure they've got sufficient life assurance. We look at a cash flow if they died. We look at the disability insurance, income protection, critical illness, medical insurance. We run a scenario if they had disability immediately, what would things look like? We check their LPAs, we check their wills. We then go into estate planning. Now, often for an existing client, most of that work I've just mentioned is being ticked off and done. So that's done relatively quickly. But in the moment, we're in a period when IHT is kind of being thrown up in the air. So we spend a lot more time at the moment for existing clients on the estate planning. Trust administration. Most of our clients have a trust, I think trust set up in some shape or form. So making sure the trust is registered, make sure minutes of the trust are being documented and they're being organized. Review their retirement plans, their pensions, state pensions, any sort of registered tax-free cash, etc. Look at their investments, capital gains tax, chargeable events, that kind of thing. Look at their portfolios and investment risk. Then we reconfirm our service propositions. So we have 2 service propositions. And that's what I'm going to cover a little bit later. So you've got that. Reconfirm our fees, agree the actions and who's going to do what. Can you tell me, you mentioned John and Jenny, your executives in your will. We've not spoken about them before. Do you think they would benefit from the kind of work that we do? How about you send a round robin email and you can introduce us? You ask for referrals. We go for Google testimonials too. And then we ask our clients, tell us, what are the things we're doing that you really like? Is there anything we're doing you'd like us to do less of or stop? Let your clients improve your service for you. Then we agree the next meeting, and we wrap it up. And 99.9% of the time, we do that in a 2-hour period. For simple clients, it might be as short as an hour. It's rarely less than an hour. After the planning meeting, again, I go and have lunch. I have a 2-hour lunch break. I come back in at 2 and I dictate or start the minutes. And again, go back to Jerry's point, this is where I might have to try and mature a little bit and get involved with AI. I send a round robin email to the team to make sure everyone knows what's going on. Remember, it's a team approach. We add any action points to the task management software. We use a thing called ClickUp, which we think is amazing. And those action points aren't just our own, they're the ones for the client. So if the client's got some action points, we remind them and see if they've done them. And then within 24 hours, the executive assistant reads the minutes. Now, he is not financial services trained. He has no exams. So I want to make sure he understands it. If he understands it, the client's going to understand it. So he's not only reading it for grammar, He's reading it to make sure that he understands what's going on. That's all sent out to the client, and the executive assistant follows everything through. That's the process that we follow for every client. 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 40 weeks of the year. There isn't an exception. Some people say, oh, that sounds really good, but genuinely speaking, this is what we do for everyone. Now, this is the bit I've added because Martin wanted to say, well, how do you manage the scale of clients, going forward, that kind of thing. So we have 2 service offerings. We have our wealth management service. Oh, sorry, this is new. I've not covered this. So we put the 2 service offerings in place a number of years ago, 7+ years ago, I think, to support our clients and remain profitable. So we have a minimum ongoing income for our clients. We don't have a minimum asset value. We're not asset managers. We're not investment managers. We are financial planners. We have a minimum ongoing income. We don't mind how that's paid to us, and that's £5,000. So as long as the client can pay our fee, whether that's £500,000 worth of assets or a retainer fee of £420 or a combination of the 2, we don't mind. Don't just judge on that. But we're encouraging our clients to give their money away. Okay, we're encouraging our clients to spend their money and enjoy it. Okay, remember our phrase, live life by design, not default. Inevitably, some clients can drop below that minimum. So we want to make sure we can look after them. And that's why we have the 2 service offerings, one that covers clients that are below the 5,000. So asset management and wealth management, the initial process that you've just seen, the welcome call, the discovery meeting, the investment presentation, and the planning meeting is identical for both. Only change is what happens ongoing. So at the end of the first year, you've done all those 3 meetings, a new client. So what happens now? Asset management clients. So they pay the firm less than £5,000 a year. Okay, so this could be generally smaller clients. It could be wealth management clients that we've told to enjoy their money and they've dipped below, or it could be the children of our clients. We're very, very keen to engage both the parent and the children of our clients. And I'd probably say about 80% of our clients, we look after the generations above and below. Okay. These clients do not receive an annual ongoing financial planning meeting. Okay. If they have a life event, so I literally had somebody in yesterday who was retiring, we will meet with them. Okay. And we have a very fair and reasonable policy. It's very likely we won't charge them for that planning meeting. Okay. If they have taken an awful lot of our time over the period, then we will agree a planning fee with them. But it's very likely we would do that without charge. But most of those people annually do not receive an ongoing planning meeting. Then we have the wealth management clients. These are clients who pay us more than £5,000 a year ongoing. Okay. And again, like I said, we don't really mind how we do it. They get an annual ongoing planning meeting. And if their diary doesn't fit, if things happen, if they're busy, they're on holiday or something, then we'll typically do a desk-based review. So we will review their circumstances based on the information we hold on file. We'll send that out to them. In, I'd say 90+% of the time, that always triggers, actually, do you know what? I do need to sit down and go through things with you. This is important. So asset management clients, reactive, still get telephone, email support. Wealth management, more proactive. Okay, but all clients receive an annual suitability report, and they receive that in December, and that's what we're just going through now. This covers our MiFID obligations. Okay, and we also require clients to sign a new a client agreement every 3 years to ensure that they're remaining engaged with our firm. So annual suitability, it's basically a desk-based review. It used to be highly manual driven, human driven, reviewing the reports, etc. Now it's highly automated. Last couple of years, it's very, very automated. Carry it out in December. It does start, where are we now? October. It does start in October. We literally just sent a reminder out to clients yesterday. We give an annual investment update, so what we feel the market's done. And I also include a Christmas letter, which is about me and my family. What am I been up to? What's happening with the firm? What's happening to the people in the team? So we've just sent the email out, say you should expect at the start of November, the have your details changed form. So remember, some of these asset clients we may not have seen. We want to know if their details are changing. We chase this information back. We don't just, send it out and don't chase it back. Any forms with any changes are flagged and I review them. The investment report is produced on the 1st December, and then any advice on that is sent to the client in the first week of December based on anything that's changed in their circumstances. So the client's been flagged. We review the report. A good example might be they're going to retire in a few years' time. We're making sure we de-risk their portfolio, so we build up some levels of cash, something along those lines. Key things we're looking for: change in circumstances, marriage, divorce, vulnerabilities. We asked the vulnerability question. 5 years, I just covered that, 5 years for investing or taking an income. We make sure we build up sufficient buffer, using ISA, pension allowance, and then we do an asset allocation test as well, make sure that their portfolios aren't too aligned. So that's how we cover our clients for our MiFID II obligations. So how I work my diary throughout the year: Monday to Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, client meetings in the morning. My diary is typically full 3-4 months in advance. And in the afternoon, discovery meetings, investment presentations, or just client calls. Thursday morning, when I leave you guys at 9 o'clock, I'll walk straight into a team huddle. That'll run for an hour. And then at 10:30, I have a level 10 meetings based on a book called Traction. It helps you how to run a business. I run a level 10 meeting, which takes me up until sort of midday when I have lunch. And this afternoon, I'll be doing sort of admin, catch-ups, reading things. I do a thing called non-agenda calls. I call my clients just out of the goodness of my heart, see how they're doing. And that's it. And then tomorrow, I'm free to do as I please, playing golf. Typical day, I get in the office around about 8:30 in the morning. This morning was a little bit earlier. 8:30 till 10, I'll prep for my planning meeting, going through last year's agenda, getting ready for the meeting. 10 till 12 is my planning meeting. I have a 2-hour lunch, 12 till 2, and then come back at 2 o'clock, write up the plan and the minutes, get out the door. I was very interested when Jerry said it took him an hour, so I'll take a note out of that book. And then if I've got a discovery meeting, investment presentation or something, I'll run that at 4 o'clock. And then I wrap up the day for about 6. It's clients 9 times out of 10 do not have a problem when you say, I can see you at 10 o'clock, because I need to write your notes up so you get them the next day. If I see you at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it goes into the next day and I've got another client meeting, then you may not get them and I'll forget what's in my head. They're very respectful, understanding. I do not have a single problem arranging this. Same with discovery meetings and investment relations. I see you in the afternoon because when you're a client, I'll meet you in the morning and I'll do your planning work in the morning. And I do that in the morning because I'm fresher. I run the joke, say I'm not as young as I used to be. Based on these figures, what we just saw over here, 40 weeks of the year, it's roughly 120 clients. 120 clients at £5,000 minimum ongoing fees, so £600,000 revenue. And that's working 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off, doing a 4-day week. It's very, very achievable and realistic. Client criteria: planning fee, we charge £3,000 planning fee, and that's charged after the discovery meeting. So I complete in discovery meeting to explain it. Once the client says yes, my wife Nikki sends them an invoice, and we expect payment before the planning meeting. We don't do the planning meeting without payment. We will do the investment presentation without it. We have no minimum asset value. I have some clients with very modest assets, but every client who's a wealth manager pays over £5,000. And that's just our criteria to make sure our business works. What we do for our clients throughout the year. So I'm personally connected to all my clients on social media so they can see what's happening. I must confess, in more recent years, I've not been on the Facebooks and Instagrams and stuff. I only use LinkedIn, but they are connected on there. I do have a social media person who does posts on those. We send a monthly Lexington Times. I hate calling it a newsletter, but technically it is a newsletter. This is something I used to write myself every year. But then when Andy Hart produced the Hum version, I literally read it and thought, this is pretty much as good as what I was doing. I'm just going to send this. So we actually cut it down a bit. I think Andy probably provides too much value. And we just send that out to our clients. I do the non-agenda calls, I said, normally on a Thursday afternoon. I have a list of clients who are going through difficult times, typically health matters. I just want to check in on them. How things are. A guy told yesterday who's been diagnosed with cancer. So I'll be giving him a call this afternoon. I love breakfast. I think breakfast is the meal of holidays, right? You know, you'll go out for a meal in the afternoon or the evening with your wife and your family, but breakfast is the only meal you really have on holiday. So I like to do it. And I generally do that on a Friday morning. So I'll meet up with a friend or a client and just have breakfast with them and see how things are going. The social on in February, as I've said, and then I've kind of covered the chef's tables and the events, rugby. We've just booked Take That for next year, a box in Wales to do that, and we'll take a bunch of clients to that event too. Client gifts at Christmas and special birthdays. We used to do every birthday, but we've now moved just to special birthday, 60, 70, 80, that kind of thing, and clients' weddings and such like. And every client gets a birthday call. I have an app on my phone called Birthdays. It's a fantastic app. This morning, I have a client whose birthday is, and I'll ring him. I'll ring a client on a weekend on their birthday. So I just give him a ring. It takes you a minute. Hey, how you doing? I'm not going to take your time. I'm sure you're busy with your family. Just want to make sure you have a really special birthday. What you got planned? I said, Warren, that's so. I do it every year. I've been doing it for years, and they thought it's so nice for you to call. Well, of course, you're in my life. You trust me, your wealth and your finances. You pay me very handsomely. You deserve it. So it's not the only way of doing things. I'm sure many people on this call are running very, very successful practices. I'm not here to boast and say I run the best. I do not. But I'm just here to share what I do. And if there's one or two things you can take away and say, I can do that, and that'll make a little bit of a difference, I hope it's worth your time. For the last 3 years, I've been running the Lexington Advanced Planners Group. It's a coaching program. It's a 3-year program, takes people from business planning all the way through. It basically teaches you every single thing that I do in the program. There's no contractual commitment. If you start on day one, I've had one person drop out halfway through. That's absolutely fine. You just pay up to what you've used. And I really want my passion is to ensure that we deliver good financial planning outcomes for clients. In my world, there's lots of people who are just gathering assets, and I think that's heartless and soulless. And I want people really to be good financial planners. I've just finished, literally last month, my first group finished the 3-year program. And I'm delighted. The last testimonial at the bottom there was Aaron. Over the last 3 years working with Warren, I've tripled my revenue, a success I largely attribute to the APG program, which blew me away. I was really, really proud of that one. But everyone's having a great time. You can scan those QR codes there. One of them tells you about the coaching program, and the other one is some free downloads. I think it's the first book, a chapter of my book, The Money Plan. And if you get any questions, just connect to me on LinkedIn or just drop me an email. My email is warren@lexington.email. And very happy to sort of go through anything that you want. So skidding in with 5 minutes left, I think we did a good job. Just to leave a couple of minutes for any Q&A if anyone's got any questions for me. There was a lot covered there. I need a drink.
Wow. That's quite an incredible talk, Warren. Absolutely brilliant. There's absolutely tons of content there.
Thank you, Mike.
Humbling to listen to it. You've clearly got a fantastic practice, but you've also got a great life along with it, because most of us will know that to be successful, half the time we've got to bury ourselves to get it, and there's a lot that has to be given to get there. So you look like you've got a fantastic work-life balance. Couple of questions. Toby's asked, would you be happy to share your meeting agenda?
Okay, so I don't share the content like that because I have people pay for that. I've shared all the headers, and I'm very happy to talk, but I don't physically pass the document because that's something all the coaching participants get.
Okay, I thought you might say that. Ian is asking, to be clear, you don't charge the client, the asset management clients, anything. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. So every single client pays a £3,000 or more planning fee when they have the financial planning meeting. We have a 1% fee on any new assets, and we have a 1% ongoing fee up to 2.5 million. Okay, so we have a 1% fee on any new assets up to 2 million, 0% over 2 million, and that's for families. So we include husband, wife, children. We actually include parents as well in that. And then ongoing, there's a 1% fee up to 2.5, then it tapers down as you go after that. So the fee charging is the same for wealth and asset clients. And if anyone says, oh, consumer duty, that's not right, we've had it checked with both Clark Wilmot in the early days and most recently Foot AMPSI. So we go straight to the lawyers and say, look, just look at the rule book, make sure we're not doing anything incorrect. And they give us feedback and tweaks and we implement those. But the way we charge and work is completely compliant.
Okay, one other question. How do you decide what fee to charge the wealth planning clients if you're not linked to AUM? I think you might have just covered that in the previous question.
Well, if it's so £3,000 initial planning fee, if they have no assets, it's £420 a month. It's £5,000 a year. Is
that VATable then through your business? Because it's not intermediation, is it?
No, we are currently, most of my wife's job is to make sure we don't go over the VAT threshold. We run 2 companies. We're about to run 3.
Yeah.
Okay. We do the best we can.
Okay.
If you exceed the VAT threshold, it will be VATable.
Yeah. Not wishing to repeat myself, but Warren, thank you so much for sharing what you've shared today. I know you've teased us with a huge amount of content there. In completion, I get it completely, but it's been awesome to have you here, and
Brilliant.
we've had a record number of people on this call. So between yourself and Jerry, you've both got something, but I don't know what it is.
Well done, Jerry. Thanks for being on the call with me.
Yeah. Awesome call. It's 2 minutes to 9. I think there is going to be a lot of feedback questions coming to me about this, which, if it's okay with Warren, what you're prepared to share, absolutely fantastic. Those that want even more, I've taken the QR code links. We will share that with the rest of the group because I'm sure some people will, at the very least, want to have a conversation with you about your coaching.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you very much.
And without further ado, it is almost 9 o'clock. Great to see everybody. I will not be around for November or December. For those that don't know, I am doing my misogi for the year. If you don't know what a misogi is, it's a very challenging thing that we do. It only has one rule: it can't kill you. So I will be sailing from Cape Town, South Africa, to Fremantle, Western Australia, from the middle of November to the middle of December. So I'll be gone from my business for 5 weeks.
Wow.
Note to you all there: take time out of your business, just like Warren. So I will be handing off to the rest of my committee, who are doing a fantastic job, I might say. They will be running the meetings in my absence. And without further ado, we'll call the meeting to a close because it is almost 9 now. Have a fantastic day, everyone, and I'll see you all soon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.